What is going on, everyone? A huge thank you for clicking on the video. I greatly appreciate that as always. Today I am back with another Nintendo 64 ROM hack video, and this one's a bit of a weird one maybe. It's not Pokemon anyways. No, today we are taking a look at none other than Star Fox 64 Survival. So what is Star Fox 64 Survival? Well, for starters, it's not a ROM hack of Star Fox 64. I know, kinda odd, right? Instead, this is a ROM hack of the fabled, legendary, greatest of all time, Ocarina of Time. And this is, of course, developed by Zell and Kaze Emanoir, which I'm definitely familiar with Kaze Emanoir. I've played some of his stuff before, so of course, huge shout out to the two people and anybody else who may have been involved behind the scenes making Star Fox 64 Survival. We wouldn't be playing it if it weren't for you, so thank you. Now I know what you're thinking, Star Fox and Zelda, they don't really correlate together all that much, so how does this work? Well, it's rather simple actually. The game is pretty straightforward. You are quite literally surviving as Star Fox. Essentially, you've crash landed on some mysterious planet, and you've got to survive waves of enemies throughout the night to make it to the next day. Story-wise, I'd say this kind of gives precursor vibes to Star Fox Adventures, if anybody's played that, originally known as Dinosaur Planet for the 64, fun little fact. But yeah, it's definitely more like that, more of a melee-focused Star Fox game rather than just flying around in an R-Wing. Let's of course take a quick look here at this stunning, gorgeous-looking cartridge here. And yes, I did say just cartridge. I did not get a box this time around. I do typically like to get boxes. However, with 64 games, I grew up with them just not ever having boxes. I bought most of mine used, so I don't always feel it necessary to get a box. I also couldn't find a box, so that might have something to do with it as well. But yeah, no, I felt like just raw dogging this solo, no box. But I will say I do love this artwork. It looks very good. I could not find anything on this. I could not find what clearly seems like a bigger version of the picture out there, because it definitely looks cropped. I think I see Falco and Peppy right over there. I think this artwork looks fantastic. I mean, it really does. I want to see a bigger picture. I don't know who created this artwork or where it comes from, but as far as cover art, it looks very good. My only issue with it is that he does have the Scouter there, and that's definitely more like GameCube era Star Fox, not 64 era Star Fox, but either way, I think it looks pretty good. I've seen a few different, ones floating out there. Some of them are actually, a few of them did have the Scouter out there. I saw a couple that didn't, but you can't always get what you want. Either way, I do think that this looks really good. As far as the way it feels, this is honestly probably the first, repo 64 cartridge I felt that actually does feel different. I feel like they usually feel pretty good. This texture just feels different. Obviously it feels lighter, which that's no surprise, but I don't know, just it feels off. I grabbed this one for compare. I just grabbed the first one I saw. I don't know, they feel different. I don't really know how to describe it. It feels cheaper, which I guess is no surprise there. But yeah, I figured that was worth pointing out. It feels a little different. That doesn't necessarily mean anything though. But since all of this seems to be checking out, we're going to go ahead and pop this into a 64 and see if it works. Here we have it, Star Fox 64 Survival in all of its glory, and honestly, what a neat game this turned out to be. So first things first, does it save? Does it work? And yes, it most certainly does. We kind of have this weird Star Fox Zelda hybrid menu here with some really awesome, I think that's Star Fox Assault music. But the game saves just like Ocarina of Time does, so you can pretty much do it at any point in the game, and thankfully it's holding my saves just fine. Let's go ahead and finally dive into this a bit. As you can imagine, this is a survival round / day-based game. It of course plays and feels just like Ocarina of Time, but you are of course modded in as Fox McCloud. And it basically just throws you right into it. You've crash landed somewhere, maybe even Hyrule. According to the Smash Bros. Brawl game, they're all connected franchises, so yeah, why not? And you start on this fairly small map here. You can actually see your crashed R-Wing, and you gotta slay all the enemies in order to move on to the next day. Once you kill everyone, you actually open up this cave that's got like a little rest area, if you will, a little campfire that you can use to rest into the next day. And this place is also filled with those creepy enemies from, I think, like the Spirit Temple. It's like one part in Ocarina of Time that you see them in. But they're actually vendors here. They're not actually enemies that you fight, but they sell different things like potions, arrows, things like that, even some big things like shields. And you, of course, can get these with rubies that you get through killing the enemies. You also get a chance at rubies when you are rewarded a chest at the end of each round. So once you take down all of the enemies and the cave opens up, it's going to spawn a chest as well. And that's also got like a random item. At least I'm pretty sure it's random. It can be rubies, bombs, but also it can be some pretty big ticket, big important items like a bottle or bow and arrow, a hook shot. Also, you might get some crap like the iron boots or whatever. Like, I don't know why you'd ever need that in this game, but you can get it. Now, while the map is pretty small, I do really like how it looks. I don't really know what's going on, but you have this very Star Fox looking structure in the middle. Doesn't really do anything to my knowledge, but it kind of helps set up, a bit of a creepy atmosphere. We also have a couple little small areas over to the side. You got this little lava area as well as a little frozen area that you can slide on. And as far as I can tell, the enemies that spawn are completely random, both in location on the map and what they actually are. I thought maybe as the nights went on, I'd get like harder enemies or more of them, and maybe to a degree that does happen, but I was also getting some of those tough enemies like immediately. Stalfos, lizard foes, even the iron knuckles, so just be prepared for that stuff on like round 2. And since they were random, that could occasionally be an issue. Sometimes they'd maybe get stuck in the lava area or the fire area, or those, I think they're called pea hats, those flying plant things. Those would sometimes get stuck on like a ledge or that structure in the middle, and it could make it a bit hard to hit their weak points. Now, also worth mentioning that this, along with most other ROM hacks, do require the red expansion pack in order to play, and I can definitely understand why. This game got a tad choppy at times. If you had a lot of those fast-moving foe enemies, sometimes it could get a bit frozen. Never more than like for a few seconds. You usually just had to tap the Z trigger button and you kind of unfreeze. But if that happened, you could probably take a hit or two there. So it's definitely not a great thing. Sometimes enemies would clip out of the map. I'm not entirely sure if it was like a bat or a bubble or jellyfish or something, but you'd notice on your minimap, which actually, shout out to the minimap. I forgot to mention that earlier, but I love that thing. You can actually like live track your enemies on the map. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, sometimes you'll notice like a little skeleton actually outside of the map area. I'm not 100% sure how that's happening. But usually, I think actually in most cases or all cases, it would fix itself for me. Eventually it would just die, just have to maybe give it a second or two or a minute or two, and it would usually kill itself, and then the round would end. So yeah, that's pretty much the game. If you manage to make it 31 days, you open up this blocked path in your little rest area that actually leads to a great ferry. You actually kind of get this neat little cutscene. I thought it looked really good. That actually gives you the ability to either end the game or essentially do a new game plus. You can start over, keep all your items and abilities, and just try again. I will add though, when I tried to just end the game, it actually crashed my game, unfortunately, but I was able to just start over just fine, and yeah, it works. It's pretty simple, there's not a whole lot to it, but it is an awesome concept. It really makes me want to see a full-fledged Star Fox Zelda ROM hack. I think this cutscene at the end here, it really highlights how awesome that would be for me. Sort of a Star Fox Adventures type of thing. This is definitely a neat experience, that's for sure. Not really a huge commitment at all. If you're just looking for maybe a bit of action, I definitely recommend you check this one out. Alright, that is going to bring us to the end of Star Fox 64 Survival. What a hoot this game was. Conceptually, 10 out of 10. Execution, I'm no video game designer, 8 out of 10. It was a little buggy, but it doesn't matter. It still was a fun game overall. I had an absolute blast playing it. I really enjoyed it. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like. I would greatly appreciate that. And if there's anything you want to see from me in the future, of course, leave that down below. Leave all your thoughts and comments down below. I'll do my best to get back to them if I can. And if there's anything you want to see from me in the future, leave that down below as well. Either way, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And until next time, I'll see you all later.